Hello. Hello, people of Facebook. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday today, which means the bins have to go out. Now, as we know, I'm not a nurse, but I am an expert in some things. So for anyone who doesn't know, I've been doing holistic business coaching for the last 7 years, crafting my own way through the coaching sphere and not wanting to do things like other people. And I've been thinking about how I can give some value to my community, especially when we're all stuck inside, many of us without work, many of us who are thinking about how we can pivot what we do. Yeah. So I've been getting quite a few clients throughout this time, and some of them are faced with similar challenges and others are faced with different. But I thought I would talk about crowdfunding today. Crowdfunding, hey, such a good platform and can be really badly used as well. So if anyone has specific questions, it's really good for me if you put them in the comments here, because otherwise it's just me waxing lyrical for however long this goes, but I can do that too. So, crowdfunding. So what is crowdfunding? So crowdfunding started basically in the tech world, where a company would have some crazy idea to build something really high tech, that would need, a lot of machinery or components to put it together. And so crowdfunding began as a way to go, hey, if you guys commit to buying this product and you put your money where your mouth is, then we have the capital to make the product. So that's where it started. And that's still a really great use for crowdfunding. So I'll tell you about something I sponsored recently, or invested in, whatever you want to say. So I collect kinetic puzzles like this. I don't know. I love puzzles. I love puzzles and I love things that move in unregular ways. So this is just a little cheapy one that I got from a $2 shop. But there's a company in New York that are making these puzzles called Tycho puzzles. And they're these highly machined metal puzzles that all fit in together. And so I supported the crowdfunder. And it cost quite a bit. It was like $100 by the time I bought one. Now, since I invested in this metal puzzle, which was over a year ago, they're in New York. They have dealt with coronavirus. They have dealt with all this other shit that they've been facing. And they keep emailing me, telling me that my puzzle's coming soon. This is not it. This is just another puzzle. But anyway, so they keep emailing me. They're shipping out puzzles, whatever. So I hope to get that puzzle soon. And the thing with crowdfunding is you are asking your community for help. That's what it is. So I think where a lot of people go wrong is you actually do need a following to make a crowdfunding campaign work. Or you need a big advertising spend, and most people don't have a big advertising spend, which is why they're going to crowdfunding. So I think it's really important to think what it is and who you're speaking to. So I've had a few people call me lately about crowdfunders, and it's really interesting. I'll give you a case study from the past. So I had a client years ago, very accomplished musician, and they'd done a crowdfunder to record an album. And all the incentives that they'd offered on Kickstarter. So Kickstarter is where you offer incentives, and it's American-based, and you've got it's different. GoFundMe is for things like community fundraising events. So you can use any of the platforms, but it's like who is going to be on the platform and which one's going to take the most fees. You need to look at all of that stuff. So she did a crowdfunder, and she had all these incentives, and she came to me because sometimes delivering the incentives is actually going to take you more time, aka money, to deliver the incentives than actually the money you're getting in the first place. So she had like vinyl and all these intense things, and we ended up coming to the point where it hadn't happened in a year. And I was like, look, this is your community supporting you. So maybe you just need to write a letter to your community and let them know that you're going to have alternative methods. Then I also had a dear friend a couple of months ago hit me up about a crowdfunder, and he also was thinking about incentives and all these tiers and all this stuff. And I was like, how much money do you actually need? And he only needed a couple of grand. And his story was lost all his work, musician, baby on the way, needed to finish one of his tracks/EPs, only needed a couple of grand. And I was like, dude, just write from the heart. Just put a thing up right from the heart. You've never done one of these before. Your community will support you. And he wrote this beautiful thing from the heart, and his crowdfunder was funded within 24 hours. So if you don't know Amanda Palmer, she also made a big splash on crowdfunding with her The Art of Asking. She's written a book about it. it's very hard to ask for help, especially monetary help from our community. But there are ways to do it that are really useful. I want to go overseas, not really that useful. I need a new car, not really that useful. I need a lung transplant, useful. I want to get married before my fiance is deported, also useful. I watched a crowdfunder get funded to the tune of $11,000 at the start of COVID for that situation exactly. Dear friends who needed to do the whole de facto visa thing. So I think it really depends where you're coming from. Passion projects, I mean, you can try, but unless they're passion projects for other people, they may not have much relevance. So my own journeys with crowdfunding are, I don't know if anyone remembers, but I made this deck of cards in 2016. And this is a beautifully designed, printed in Oz deck of cards, not Chinese made in Australia. And I thought about crowdfunding this, but I needed $10,000, right? And at the end of the day, it was like, this is a passion project of mine, but it's also for my business. It's also a product. Like, I'm crowdfunding a product. Does that work, you know? Anyway, so at the time when I tossed it over and over, and I decided not to do it, and I funded it myself. So I spent the $10,000 and I backed myself. And I think it's really important to know when to back yourself, when to just take the risk, spend the money, and put your money where your mouth is, and when you do ask your community for help. So I paid for these, and they kind of did pay for themselves over the next couple of years. I still have a couple of hundred decks, and I'm going to do a giveaway online soon featuring these. But anyway, so I funded that one myself. Then a couple of years later, I wrote a book, right? So I wrote this book. It's the story of my life and all the crazy shit I've done. And again, this was another project where it was like, do I back myself or do I do a crowdfunder? And I realized that if I was going to publish this book, that doing a crowdfunder was probably a good idea. So, hey, everyone, are you interested in reading my stories? Will you put your money where your mouth is? Give me $25. And then if I get 100 copies or 200 copies, I know that I have the money to print it. However, I haven't done this book because I realized that this isn't the book that I want to publish. So there's a couple of my stories about crowdfunding. Now, last night I had a friend call me. He's been doing really long DJ sets and he wants to monetize them. But monetizing DJ sets at the moment when everyone is doing live streaming is really tricky. So then I was like, well, what do you want to monetize them for? And he's like, I want to raise money for a certain charity. I've had a bunch of friends who've dealt with the same health issue. I want to draw awareness to this health issue. And I'm like, okay, so that's all great and everything, but how many people are actually watching your streams? And for most people, we're looking at 20 to maybe 40, maybe 50 people watching a stream at a time, which is great, but we're not talking about a stream of thousands and thousands of people like a telethon that you can advertise to. So I was like, why don't you set up a GoFundMe, which is free. GoFundMe is free and they don't take very many fees. And put the personal story about these people and this illness and why you're doing this. And then why don't you text your 50 best friends when you're going to do a live stream? Because the problem with live streams are, I'm not hanging out on social media waiting for a live stream to pop up. So this is why I put out a post earlier today saying, hey, I'm going to do a live stream later. But like for those DJs that want people to tune in, send a text out. People keep forgetting that texting is a really good marketing method if you're sending it to people who know you. I will much more look at something someone's texted me these days than a Facebook event notification because there's just too much chatter in the Facebook space. The other thing that's really important is crowdfunding is about emotional investment. It's not about financial investment. It's about people being emotionally invested in your project, in your story, and in the thing that you want to bring to light. The dog is really trying to make me be the doorman. Hey, Bruno, come here. I'm not being the doorman right now. I'm just not. Come here and be on live camera with me. So come here. Come say hi to everyone. This guy, he is not crowdfunded. So I think it's really important to remember that you've got to have that emotional investment. You've got to write the story that you're trying to get people to invest in from a really personal place, because that's what they're actually buying into. I mean, for me, it was great that the little puzzle was coming from New York or whatever, but I was emotionally invested in their story of these engineers creating, you know, this crazy little puzzle that was going to go out to the world. Like, it was the story that got me more than the object. So there's a few things that I do when we're looking at doing a new project or a new thing. And this is not like rocket science, yeah, but most people just skip these steps. So what is it? What are you actually trying to achieve? What is the product, service, or the end goal, like finishing an album or whatever? What is it? Also, who are you talking to? So who is actually already in your network? And how are you reaching them? The reason I do these live videos on Facebook is because I have people who listen in on Facebook. I don't use Instagram very much, so I don't really do much there. Like, it's kind of a tit for tat thing. And it kind of worries me when people launch a new business and they're like, right, I need a Pinterest and Instagram and this and Snapchat and that. And it's like, do you either have staff to do all of those channels, or do you have time to run them all well? And also, is your market even there? Because often they aren't. I mean, people who are on Pinterest really need to look at who that demographic is, and is it their demographic, and is it worth spending time on that channel? So what is it? Who is it going to? Where are they hanging out? And also, how do you sell it to them? Because it's not as simple as, look at this great thing I made. Like, great, tarot for business. People didn't get it. They still don't really get it. But I actually don't care if they don't get it. This was a passion project for me. And what this has turned out to be, this was intended to be a residual income for me, a product that I don't have to have my hand in creating. But what it ended up being was the best business card I could have ever created. A $10,000 business card, so an expensive one, but still the best business card ever. So it's really important to look at the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. Because there is no point saying that you're going to start a Patreon channel and you're going to get all these people to pay for your content when you don't have people following your content for free already. Like, that's just not going to work. And I know a lot of people who've started Patreon channels throughout COVID times, and they're pretty underwhelming. You can't really get anywhere with 10 followers. You really need a critical mass of followers who are paying money for you to create things. So Patreon is not crowdfunding. Patreon is a user pay platform for content. And, you know, I've thought about starting up a Patreon channel myself. But like this whole video, I've had 10 to 20 people watching. And I don't know how many of those people are getting value out of this. But is that a big enough number for me to start my own Patreon channel and then hammer everyone on Facebook to join my Patreon? I don't really think so. So you have to be really careful how you use these channels for promotion as well. Once you do a crowdfunder, guess who has to promote it? You. So you have to hammer that crowdfunder to your Facebook community, on your mailing lists. Like, it's not as simple as just create a crowdfunder. You need a whole marketing strategy that goes with that crowdfunder. So yeah, is crowdfunding a worthy platform? Absolutely. Is it good for all projects all the time? Definitely not. Is it often a lot of work? Yes, it is often a lot of work. I mean, to crowdfund a proper project, you really need a good video. And even just a video can cost you anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s. So unless you have really good copy editing and really good photos and a really emotive story that gets us invested in your project, you may not see the results. However, when it is a community funding thing, like when it is something that we all need to pitch in with to help our community, and when it is presented in a really good way, there is often a lot of call to action there. Like, I've seen some amazing stuff crowdfunded over these last few months. It's okay to ask for help. You know, you just need to make sure you're asking in the right way that reaches the right number of people, and gets them emotionally invested in what you're doing. So anyway, I'm going to keep this short. There hasn't been any questions below. I'll do another one of these in a couple of days. And if you guys have questions about pivoting right now, how you can change what you're already doing to make some more money, or make money in this time when not many people are making money, then send me a question or two. I just have to also say that some of the pivots I'm seeing are amazing. Like today, I'm about to get delivery lasagna from this company called Lasagna Del Rey that have popped up during COVID times. And all they do is sell lasagna. And they have 3 lasagnas. They have a meat traditional one, a chicken rotisserie one, and a vegan one. And all they do is sell lasagna. They deliver it to your house, and it's $30 for a big lasagna delivered to your door. Now, that is a fucking smart business model, friends. One thing that they do really fucking well, you know, and corner that market. They're the only delivery lasagna place I know. So how can we adapt what we are doing? This is the work that I'm doing with clients right now, and I'm really fucking excited about it, you know? I'm over all the COVID shit. So what does the new world look like, and how do we help each other get there? So yeah, send me questions, send me things to address live. I'm up for it, and talk to you in a few days. All right, bye.